Hi everyone, David again from Craft Obsessions. As promised, I'm back to share some more hints and tips with you about the technique to give you a stamped impression of your die cuts. And this time we're going to use a much more intricate die so that you can see how beautiful the result is. It's worth the patience involved with doing this technique, but there are some hints and tips that I can share with you. So I've kind of revised or even refined the technique to make it a little bit easier. I've had a couple of emails from people, and the response on Facebook was quite overwhelming that you wanted me to have another go with an intricate die to show you, so thanks for that. But some secret weapons, if you like, with this technique. We're going to use a highlight pen, obviously the trusty tweezers, and something that isn't going to cost you a lot of money if you've been using Stick It. We're just going to use a piece of old silicone release paper that we've used that's had the adhesive removed. So what we're going to do first, just move those out of the way. I've got here a piece, a large piece of the Stick It, a large sheet which I've cut down to a more manageable size. I don't know if you can see the crack back area is here, and what I'm going to do is just position the die in such a way that we're only going to end up with one part of the design overlapping the crack back. We don't want lots of areas where we're going to have to stop and start to remove the adhesive. The more you have to fiddle to remove the adhesive, the more likely it is that you're going to either pull some of the adhesive away inadvertently, or it's going to stick to your finger and it's going to spoil the whole effect. So what I'm going to do is just this area here is just going to overlap in this little corner. But what I'm going to do to make that obvious is, using the highlight pen, I'm just going to highlight that area down here so that we can easily identify where it is once we've die cut it. And what I'm going to do when I die cut it is I'm basically going to die cut this way round. So I'm going to run it through the big shot this way, so I can just see here that the die is just touching this peel off area down here. So I'm just going to run this through the big shot, and then I'll come back and we'll carry on. So do bear with me while I just do that and then extricate the die cut from the die. So bear with me, I'll be back in a couple of seconds. Okay, so now we've got our die cut piece successfully removed from the die. What you want to try and do is, particularly where it's a very intricate die like this, is just basically lay it flat so that all the tendrils go round the way they're supposed to, and they don't sort of kind of get all tangled up before you start trying to remove the backing paper. But you'll see the reason that I marked where the crack back is, just in this little bottom corner here. Without that, it would be really hard to tell whereabouts it is. So it's just a useful tip there to mark it before you start. So all we're going to do is just basically, you can see it's even coming apart here, look, just on its own. So what we're going to do is just basically, I'm holding the piece that still has release liner on it, and all we're going to do is just basically peel away the backing paper like so. Now, the reason for having a little piece of silicone release paper, obviously if you use this shiny side down, placing this on the adhesive isn't going to pull the adhesive away from the other piece of liner, if that makes sense. So basically all I'm going to do is position the silicone release paper as close to the area that I'm peeling as I can, and then that enables me to just basically hold the piece steady while I then continue to remove the backing paper or the release liner from the die cut shape. And as I say, I've said this before, if you just let it go at its own pace, don't force it, you'll find that the release paper does release quite easily from the design. Obviously you can move your silicone release paper that you're using to hold it steady. You can just move that along as you go. So you can see this is coming off relatively easily. where you have a particular tricky area, it's usually a good idea to move the paper as close as possible, like so, just so that you can hold it in place as you pull off the release liner. Can you see? You have to be careful that you're not tempted to grab hold of a piece that's got adhesive on it, because if you do, once you've pulled the adhesive off and it's stuck to your finger or it's stuck to the tweezers, that kind of will ruin the effect and give you a bald spot on your design. So you can see the release paper really comes in quite handy there. That's all the backing paper that we've taken off, so that's ready to chuck in the bin. And here we now have our die cut shape. Just being careful here not to touch it with my fingers. And what we'll need to do, if you remember, just in this bottom corner there's going to be another little piece of release paper that I need to peel away. And this is the reason that I didn't want sort of 3 separate pieces of crackback, because the more areas that you've got to peel off individually, the more chance you're going to have of disrupting the adhesive layer. And obviously for this technique you need all of the adhesive, or as much as the adhesive, intact as you can. So all I'm going to do now is just basically hold the design in place so that I can lift that. I don't know if you can see me do this. I'm just literally going to try and bend this piece back so we've got the paper here that I can just grab hold of with the tweezers. Just trying not to sort of scratch the adhesive as I do it, but basically pull off. In fact, I've caught a little bit of adhesive there, I don't know if you can see. So, but that's okay, we can rescue that at the end. So there's another little piece just there, and that piece just there. There we go. So we've now got all of the adhesive exposed, and what we're going to need to do now is basically apply that to our card. And to do that you have to resist the temptation to grab the die cut here, because that is where it's going to stick to your finger. So this is a tricky bit. The easiest thing to do is to get a piece of oversized card. You can see there that the adhesive isn't gripping to the cardstock too readily, but as soon as I put my finger on it, that is now stuck. If I tried to move that away, it would pull the adhesive off. So you do need to, once you've positioned it down and once you've started,